everyone, welcome to Under the Gun. I am Jon Friedberg, and first of all, please pardon my voice. I had a trip to Mexico this weekend and did have a great time, but now I'm a little bit haunted. Something's wrong with my throat, so I don't have all of my voice. So I'm not going to do too much talking, but I do want to just make two quick announcements. First of all, this week in Las Vegas, the Hard Rock is running the Detox Poker Series. Those tournaments are run by Matt Savage, who is obviously one of the best in the business, and he runs great tournaments, and those are going to be a lot of fun. They're running here at Hard Rock. Now, my guest on the show today is Joe Tehan. He actually won the first Detox event at Hard Rock last week, or was it this week? A couple days ago. It was a $300 buy-in, 100K guarantee, and he took it down for like $32,000. So Joe's going to be my guest on the show today. I'm going to talk about his career, his win, etc. But if you're in town, go to Hard Rock, check out their tournaments. They got some good ones running. Also, this week on August 18th, Wednesday, the UB is running the UBOC 5. There are 20 tournaments that start on this Wednesday. All the games, 6 max, full ring, etc. Lots of good tournaments going on UB. If you don't have an account, get one, either through my website, jonfriedberg.com, or however else you'd like. Also keep in mind, for some of you smaller stakes players, UB is also running the mini UBOC 5. So in sync with all of the UBOC events, they're running the same events with smaller buy-ins, so UB can accommodate everybody with small bankrolls and of course bigger bankrolls. So check those out. Now, before I have my guest on the show, let me give a quick update on my Under the Gun challenge. Now, with my trip to Mexico this week, or the last week, I really didn't have too much time to play, but I did get in 3 short sessions. As you can see here in the chart, I won about $1,200 in 3,000 hands. Again, not too many hands, but pretty good win rate. Happy with a $1,200 win last week, which now puts me at about $2,000 profitable on my whole challenge. And as you can see here in my sort of year-to-date chart, my win rate is definitely sloping up. It's becoming much more steep. That's a good sign, and I expect it to be continuing. So cash games are going well, continuing to learn a lot, do well, and my results are showing. The plan is to win $100,000 in 12 months, and now I have about about 9 months or so left. It's going to be quite the challenge, but I love a good challenge. So long way to go, but I'm working hard to get there. And now my next segment, which is still fairly new, Am I an Idiot? As you recall, you guys are sending me hands so I can talk about them on the show and tell you if you played the hand right, if you played the hand wrong, if you're an idiot, etc. So this hand comes to me from a fellow named Chris in New Hampshire, and Chris was playing in a 1-2 cash game in his local casino. He was dealt pocket aces in the big blind, and a player in middle position open raised to 12. Another player called 12. Chris raised to 35. By the way, Chris had a 300 chip stack here. He 3-bets to 35, out of position from the big blind. Flop comes Jack 3-5 with 2 diamonds. Chris then bets 35. His opponent calls. So now there's $155 in the pot after the flop. Okay. Turn is a deuce of diamonds. Chris now bets 45 into the $155 pot. His opponent calls 45. And the river is a king of hearts. Now Chris checks. His opponent bets 110. Chris tanks for a while and calls, only to see that his opponent turns over queen 10 of diamonds for a flush. So Chris asked me, did I play the hand right, or am I an idiot? And I have to say 2 things. First of all, unfortunately, I think there's nothing that you could have done, Chris, to win this hand, unless you played it stronger pre-flop. But once the flop comes and your opponent has a flush draw, you're pretty much going to get all your chips in on this pot. Now, I do think you made a couple of mistakes this hand. When a player raises to 12 pre-flop and 1-2, and another player calls, and you're out of position with aces, I think you need to make a bigger 3-bet pre-flop. I probably would have made it somewhere closer to like the $40 to $50 range. That way, you have more of a chance of winning the pot outright, and you're more likely to get only one caller, if any, which is good. Not only that, but once a flop comes, you only have like, 150 big blind stack, so you don't want to be having to make too many tough decisions like you eventually had to make on the river. So now I probably would have 3-bet to say 45, and that would have made about 100 or so in the pot on the flop. Then when the flop comes Jack 3-5 with 2 diamonds and you have the ace of diamonds, I think you would probably bet more like somewhere around like the 60 to 65 range. And at that point, your opponent has a much tougher decision. He's probably either going to shove or fold. It's tough to call 65, which is almost half your stack at that point. So in any case, if your opponent shoves, you quickly call and you have the best hand. You got your money in good. If he does call, that's okay. You're still in a great position. The turn comes another diamond. You still have aces. I think you just shove the turn, and you're probably going to get called. You're still going to lose the pot, but remember, poker is a long-term game, and all that's important here is that you make the proper decisions, and over the long term, you're going to make money. So, again, I think you're kind of an idiot for playing this hand a little too passively. Ultimately, it resulted in you losing less than you would have if you played the hand correctly, but in the long term, if you keep playing the hand this way, you're not going to do so well. So play the hand more aggressively, bet more, and don't be scared to go broke. You're getting your money in here with the best hand, and that's really all you can do in poker. So thanks for sending in your hand, Chris, and everyone else, before my voice goes completely out, send in your hands so we can do some analysis here. Under the Gun at cardplayer.com. So with my Under the Gun challenge and the Am I an Idiot segment behind us, let's bring on my guest, Joe Tehan. Joe, thanks for coming on the show. It's glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks.
So you have sort of quietly accumulated about $3 million in tournament earnings over the last few years and have been a regular, consistent winning cash game player, both online and live. When did you start playing poker professionally?
I first moved out here at the end of 2003. I moved to Vegas, and I just brought out like my case, $5,000, and started playing some 15-30 limit hold'em, because that was about all they had, and 30-60, and I just kind of played a lot of hours a week and played all limit hold'em and stuff. So I'm kind of from a limit background.
Okay, so you and I actually used to play 30-60 game at Bellagio in like the 03-04 time frame. Mm-hmm. And then I sort of stopped playing live and started playing online for a little while. Then I go back to Bellagio and start playing a little bit of live, and I see you playing in like the 1-200 game. Yeah. Not knowing that you had just won $1 million in a WPT event in 2006. Yeah. Right? So how did you make the transition from live limit games into tournament no limit no limit tournaments, and obviously taking down major titles?
Well, when I was playing just limit poker, I remember one time, one of my very first tournaments, it was a $1,500 no limit event, and I didn't even want to put up the money, because I know when you buy into a tournament, you're usually just lighting kissing the money goodbye. So it was $1,500, and I took a shot at it, and I got second for like $120,000. I was like, wow, I play all year and I never even saw this kind of money. And then a few weeks later, I won another big one, and I'm like, well, this is, so it was kind of like, a couple weeks span where I was just like, wow, tournaments are, these could be pretty good or pretty profitable. I mean, so that's kind of when I started playing tournaments.
Okay, and was that around 06 when you bought into the Mandalay WPT event and won it?
Yeah, that was,
Had you played many 10K buy-ins prior to that?
That was my third ever 10K, the Mandalay Bay one that I won. But prior to that, yeah, I won, the beginning of that year, I won 2 events. One was a 300 rebuy with like 1,000 players, and another one was a 1,500 no limit, and where I just won more money in those 2 events than I did playing full time for like 2 or 3 years. So I'm like, well, geez, I should start playing more tournaments. So that's when I bought into the 10K. I started playing more 10K events on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a while ago now. That was like 4+ years ago, and you still do very well. In fact, just this week you won the Hard Rock Detox Poker. I think it was the first event, the 100,000 guarantee.
Yeah.
You just took down for like 32,000, 33,000.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So you're obviously still on top of the field. You're still doing well. What approaches have you taken over the years to make sure that your game stays above your competitors' games?
Well, initially when the whole online scene started coming in, I was like, I kind of didn't adjust to it originally. I feel like I was like, wasn't 3-betting enough, or I was folding too much to 3-bets, or I wasn't adjusting to, because in 04, 05, 06, when you get 3-bet, I mean, the guy's got aces or kings. Right. I mean, never ace king, but but anyways, so the game was like totally different. So it took like a little while to adjust, and now learning from like playing both online cash games and live cash games, I learned to like, I'm 3-betting like a ton more, and I just feel like every table I sit at, I'm like the most aggressive player by like
right
times 10. But some days I feel like I'm the nittiest player as well. So, but I try to keep up. And before, it's like you never really had to like earn your chips. You could just sit there and wait, and someone was going to give you chips. And
right.
now you got to kind of play more and have to kind of earn your chips a bit more, I think.
Totally agree. The fields have gotten very tough.
Yeah.
Both in cash games and tournaments, so you really have to sort of, manufacture hands and get creative. So how do you balance tournament play versus cash game play? Which do you play more of, and how do you allocate your time to tournaments and cash games?
I kind of like playing cash games more. People tend, you're always sitting deeper than like in a tournament. You have 20 to 50 big blinds at any time, where as in a cash game, especially live cash games, I mean, people sit really deep. I mean, so I kind of enjoy the excitement of cash games where there's really big decisions and big bluffs and big,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of enjoy the rush of that. But then again, the rush in the tournament when you're really deep is also pretty exciting too. So
right. So you've played in last few years. You've played in pretty much a lot of World Series events,
yeah.
right? Do you also play cash games during the World Series?
No. Throughout the year, I just pretty much play cash games. I like lately I've been playing mostly no limit cash games, and then during the World Series I play exclusively tournaments. So
now, when you play, well, 2 questions. When you're playing cash games, are you the type of player that likes to be fairly conservative and play well within your comfort range, or are you one of those guys that likes to take shots at these, really high stakes games?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. When I first moved here, I just kept playing bigger and bigger and bigger, as big as I possibly could. I was playing like, the biggest I played was 6 and 1200 limit, but I used to play 4 and 800 limit every day, where, I had not even close to the right amount of money to be playing that. And then, and then after like you win, like I won $1 million in one tournament, and I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of took a step back and I started playing a bit smaller, and I'm a little more conservative now. I think I didn't want to go. I guess I'm not the type that'll go, take my $1 million win and go put it on the table in Bobby's room. Although, I mean, part of me regrets not doing it. I think it would be exciting or whatever, and I'm pretty sure I could beat. I think I can beat all those guys. But
do you think that has to do with your age and sort of where being relying on poker as income for so many years, or is it just a fear of, or now that you have the money, you sort of don't want to risk losing it?
Yeah, I think it's more the second thing. Like now that I have the money and I've done well, and I guess I just kind of took a step back and I was like, I can still make a pretty good living. I mean, it's not like I'm playing small. On an everyday basis, I play.
What do you play on a cash game?
Online, I'll play like 2-4 to 5-10, no limit, short-handed, and live I play 10-20 or 20-40, no limit. But that's all recent that I've started playing no limit. The past maybe 2 years.
And what about tournaments? Do you always take 100% of yourself, or do you ever use a backer in any tournaments?
Yeah, I for the bigger tournaments, I'm using a backer. The smaller ones, I just play on my own. But yeah, for the bigger tournaments, I realize how tournaments are super swingy, and especially in the major buy-in tournaments, and I just it's tough to play on your own and have all those swings.
Right.
So, and plus, it's draining on you mentally and whatever. So,
how many
use a backer? Yeah.
How many like 10K buy-ins do you play in an average year?
Last year, I mean, I've probably only played this year I played only one so far. Last year I only played in 3 or 4. But I have played in some bigger ones. Before I probably played 10 or whatever in 06, 07, and the last couple of years.
You don't travel as much anymore. Now you're mostly just playing the events here in town?
Yeah, now I just stay in Vegas. I play a lot during the World Series, and but I'm not traveling for the WPTs or anything like that anymore.
Okay. Well, you have accomplished the dream that many of our viewers right now are watching, or look forward to doing someday. What advice can you offer everyone else about tricks to being successful? Whether, obviously, we always say stay out of the pits, don't gamble, but as far as record keeping and bankroll management and all that stuff, are you a real stickler on that stuff, or have you just sort of been fortunate to be where you're at now?
I keep records of how I'm doing in the game, and I always keep good records for whatever tax purposes and whatnot. So I don't know. What advice I would give people is I tell most people, play poker, part-time at first, or while you're going to school or while you're working. Don't just give it all up at first, you know what I mean? That's what I tell most people, and if you really like it and you really want to try it, I say go for it. But for a lot of people, I would say just do it part-time and enjoy it, and you can still make money at poker, but just,
Plus, it's a lot easier when you're not going to bed at night stressing that, you don't have any other income, and if you, let's say you lose $1,000 in a 1-2 game or 2-5 game or something, and you think to yourself, wow, if I have 9 more days like this, I'm broke.
Yeah.
It's nice when you have something else to fall back on, whether it's a degree or other income from a job or something else.
Mm-hmm.
So where is your career headed from here? What are your goals for the next few years, or what's your plan from here?
I recently got engaged, so I'm gonna be moving away from Vegas. So I won't be able to play quite as many cash games. I'm moving to Santa Barbara, so I'll be playing close, out at the Commerce a bit, and I'll be focusing a lot more on online poker now.
Okay.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, more. I still plan on playing the World Series events, and I still plan on, playing some online cash games mostly.
Are there any games near Santa Barbara? Isn't there a Shumash or something?
Yeah. There's a couple smaller casinos and card rooms that my fiance's brought me to. So they're kind of cool, like a family type atmosphere, and we go. She likes to gamble too, so we both go and play some poker.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I presume you'll be playing in more of the Detox events over at Hard Rock?
Yeah, she's dealing there, and that's kind of why I went in the first place. But
nice.
But Matt Savage always runs a good tournament, and it's $300 buy-in. It's not like anything huge, but whatever, it's fun, and yeah, I think I'll play a couple more over there.
Okay. Well, good luck, and Joe, thanks for coming on the show. It's good
Sure.
to have you. Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of Under the Gun. Again, I apologize about my voice. I hope everything still is very legible in your computer with the microphone and all the equipment and everything. Remember, send me your hands to underthegun@cardplayer.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at Jon Friedberg. If you're in town, check out the Detox Poker Series at Hard Rock. Sure to be a good time, and like Joe, you could have a very nice payday as well. So thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week.